guys, Virginia here, and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this one's for the SpiegelMom Scraps design team. And yeah, so I've got this cut file. It's a large title that says bubbles and it's got a whole lot of bubbles on it. So I decided I wanted to use it. You should be able to find it in the SpiegelMom Scraps shop. If it's not there, it won't be far away. But yeah, so there is free cut files in the SpiegelMom Scraps shop. Gosh, I'm a bit tongue twisted today. And they're PNG files as well, just so you know. And yeah, so this was one I've designed. So when I made it, I was like, oh, I really want to use that. So I'm going to use it. Okay, so I have the photo you can see to the right of the screen. It's Edison. We were playing. It was at the pools, but they've got like this water feature thing, and it like splashes water and bubbles and stuff. And I just the photo, and it just goes really well with this title. So that's why I'm going to use that photo. And I've pulled out my Eco Park. Is it Eco Park? I think so. I just put it away. Imagine That Girl collection. And I thought that would be nice because I wanted to bring in some of these shimmers that I recently got from the SpiegelMom Scrap shop as well. I did a purchase of these shimmers product. I think it was for the March pre-order, and I've got a whole lot of shimmers, and these like shiny, sparkly kind of paints, and they're really cool, so I wanted to use them. Okay, so I'm going to go through and back the cut file. I'm not going to back the letters, I'm just going to back the bubbles, but not all of the bubbles, if that makes sense. Of course it makes sense. And yeah, so I'm going to go through. I'm just using, at first I was going to stick with kind of plainish patterns, but then I decided to bring in some bigger patterns as well, just to kind of fill in those bubbles and to bring some more of that colour that's in that collection in. So I've done most of the bubbles. I do go ahead and do the larger ones later, but I was quite eager to get out these shimmers and have a little play. So I thought I would pull out the ones that I think go with this collection. I wasn't too sure which colours I was going to use, so I did a little tester, and what I did was just swipe it on a bit of white cardstock. I've let it dry, and I'm just grabbing a little, I think it's a 1/2 inch circle punch, and I'm punching out that colour, sticking it on a glue dot, and then sticking it on the bottom of the little pot, and that's going to be my, I guess, kind of paint swatch for each of them, so I can pull them out later and use them to match the colours up properly. So for the back of my cardstock, I'm going to have that title running across the centre. I've just applied some white gesso just to prime my paper. It's all nice and dry now, and you can see I've finished kind of backing that cut file. And I'm just going through my shimmers, deciding what ones will match, and those little swatches on the bottom of each of those pots are a great way to do it. So there we go. I'm showing you all the colours that I'm using, if you can see them. If you can't, you might want to pause it. Flying through them, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to treat this like I would any other kind of paint or spray or mist. I'm just got a little bit of packaging, and I'm just using my paintbrush, and I'm popping it on this piece of packaging. I'm adding a little bit of water, and I put it down. I realised that I've never used these before. The paints are really quite thick, so I did have to add a bit more water than what I initially thought I needed to, but that's okay. It does not dull the sparkle in them at all. I'm again going through to my next colour, the pink, adding a bit of water. I'm going to add a bit more water just to get that colour moving around the page. And I'm just trying to have a separate colour behind each of those letters. I'm just putting that pink out a little bit more. And I'll clean it up and go to the next one. So we've got a green. I'm just shaking it up just to kind of stir up some of that sparkle that we've got going on. Add a bit of water. Really simple process. Just making sure they fill in behind each of those letters as I go. And there we go. I've kind of skipped two and it all done. I wanted some real pops of dark colour along each of those bits of colour that I've got on the background. So I'm just dipping my paintbrush right into the pot and just kind of splattering it on, so they're in really intense kind of pops of colour just scattered out from each of those big blobs of colour. Gosh, I'm getting technical today, aren't I? Okay, I'm going to go into this minty colour green, And we skipped 2, that's all done. And I was going to use my gold Liquitex ink, but then I remembered I actually did buy a goldy coloured one. And I thought it was gold, and it is. It's called Christmas Cheer. So that comes out kind of gold as well. And there you can see I've just done a little kind of sample. So I'm just going to do the same with that, but kind of splatter it all over the place just to get some pops of gold around the layout. And there we go. I've let it dry. I've come back. I've backed my cut file with some adhesive foam tape, and I've decided to use this dark blue pattern paper from the Imagine That collection with the polka dots. It just kind of goes with the bubble feel of the layout. So I decided, instead of framing it, because my title just about goes all the way to the edges of the paper, instead of doing 4 sides frame, I'm going to do the top and bottom, but I wanted a really nice chunk of that pattern paper, so I've just torn off maybe 1.5 inches from the top and bottom of the white piece of cardstock, and then I'm just going to mount that directly onto that pattern paper. I'm just going to trim off the excess little bit. I don't know what bit was off. Either the white cardstock wasn't quite 12 by 12, or the pattern paper was more than 12 by 12. I guess we'll never know. Okay, just removing that backing off that adhesive tape on my cut file, and then I'm going to pop it in place, and I can set about embellishing the layout. Okay, so I want to bring some of the patterns behind my photos. I'm just pulling out scraps that I've got on top pretty much. So I'll bring in a bit of pink, I'll bring in a little bit of this purple, just using my ATG gun to tape it down, trim off the excess. And then I think the final layer of this dark blue, and that's kind of repeating that pattern that's going on in the background, so that's tying that photo in with that. And I decided that spot there, just at the left, was a kind of a good spot. I wasn't covering up too much of the bubbles or too much of the title, but it fit quite nicely in there. Okay, so I'm going to go through the die cut packs and just kind of pull out what pieces I think I can use. I've used a lot of this collection, so there's I think I'm left with the non-user friendly pieces like you usually do with most scrapbook collections that you get. So I'm just trying to see what I could bring in, and I like the idea of this tag, and I struggle with it for quite some time because it's rather large, it's quite dominating, it's almost the size of my photo. I do end up trimming it down slightly just to make it feel a bit smaller, but it comes off, comes on, goes back, and it eventually does stay. So I'm just going through pulling in pieces. I like the idea of tucking something in that top right hand corner. So I've got a frame, a little tag, and this little other die cut sentiment that says magic and wonder. And then I found this other one that says something about imagination. I can't quite see it because there's a big thing in the screen. I thought that was quite cool and I wanted to add that on, so I've just tucked that down the bottom right hand side of the layout as well. So I've kind of got my 3 clusters going on here, my photo being one of them, and then that's kind of connected to the title. So I'm just trying to find something else to layer up with that piece, and I do settle on this floral die cut piece. I did like the idea of that cap because it was circular. I want to bring in some circular pieces, but it's a bit big, so that doesn't make it. I do, however, pull out 3 other little circular pieces that I find in those die cuts and just kind of scatter them around the place as well. Now this is another Eco Park collection. I can't remember what it is, I'm sorry, but it's got a bunch of mermaids and stuff on it, and I pulled that out as well because I saw the little fish on it and I thought that would be quite cute for kind of like a water themed layout. So I'm only pulling off a few of the pink and the blue ones. I didn't want to add yellow to this layout because there's no yellow going on anywhere else, so I've just cut off a few of them and just kind of scattered them around the page. And now I'm going to go back to the Eco Park Imagine That stickers, and I did pull off this chipboard sticker from, it's one of the older Eco Park summer collections. I saw that when I was digging through my stuff as well, and I thought I should pull that out because the title is Bubbles. So we've got a little bubble wand going on, and I'm just kind of continuing to go through, bringing out pieces that I think that I can add to the layout that kind of makes sense. I mean, a little bear dancing on a bubble doesn't make sense, but I get it off my sticker sheet, so that's a win. Okay, so I've gone through the sticker sheet. There wasn't really that much on there. I'm going to go through the chipboard pieces, and I don't think I actually even pull anything off there that I end up using. I did try that speech bubble, and you see that tag goes away, but it just wasn't right. Oh, I do use this Happy Day piece. I lie. I did. I think that's the only piece I end up using. I do desperately try with this piece up here, but I just couldn't get it to work. It just wasn't looking right. So that does end up being taken off, and that cluster goes back to the way it was, as you'll see there. Okay, so I'm going to put those chipboard pieces back in place. I'm happy with this stuff. I'm going to glue it all down, and then I'm going to start with my sequins. So just basically, as I normally do, starting from the bottom, working my way up. This piece is going to be propped up on some foam, just for a bit of dimension to that cluster up there. I'm going to pop a little bit of glue behind that fish, just to make sure it sticks, and then I'll just kind of continue my way around the layout. I'm going to pop this up on a little bit of foam on the side because that cut file is dimensional, so I want it to stay flat. And there we go, skip toe. It's a pretty simple process, gluing everything down. Now the fun part, the sequins. So I'm pulling out a bunch of mixes. I've got the newest release ones here. Equitini Dreams, Happy Days, Dose of Reality, and the Confetti Burst as well. They're from the newer release, and I'm going to pull out colours that match each of those letters in the title. So I'm going for dark blues now. So I'm just finding all the dark blue sequins. I want a variety of shapes and sizes, and yeah. So I'm going through that, and this Dose of Reality one is really cool. There is some little clear, well, there's blue, and then there's a minty kind of green clear hearts in them, and they're dimensional, and they're gorgeous. And I didn't even realise that they were in there until I tipped them out. So you'll see that I've added a dark blue one there, and I've also brought out some of the Sparkly Effervescence mix, which is those little clear droplets. So I'm going to definitely add a lot of them around the page, like bubbles. And yeah, so I'm just going through the blue now, just picking from the sequin mixes that will match. I'm going to start on my purple section now, just pulling purple ones, and I'm going to add that Sparkly Effervescence. Now I'm going to go through Dose of Reality and pull out some purples. Just going kind of just scattering them around the place. I really want to fill them in on that those patches of the Shimmers paints, just to add to them and add a lot of sparkle to the page, because those shimmers are again really shimmery, so it's all kind of adding to the layout. So I'm just going through with the purple, just bringing them out ever so slightly from the top and the bottom of that cut file on the page. Okay, one more purple. Now I can start on the green, again just going through all the different packs. I think I'm going to go through Confetti Burst now. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. And there's some light greeny bluey ones. I'm adding those little clear droplets, and now I'm going to go through my sequins. And this is, I think it's called Breeze. There is some really lovely greeny coloured ones in that mix as well, so adding them to it. It's the thing I love about sequins is you can always find something that matches. So yeah, okay, so I've gone ahead and done the rest of them. It's a pretty simple process. You don't want to watch me glue them all down, but there was a bit of a splatter up that top left, so I just covered it with an extra fish and popped a few little clear droplets up there. But that's it for my process. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to use code Virginia15 in the SpiegelMom Scraps shop to get yourself 15% off your next purchase. But until next time, bye guys.